Well, good morning. I'm Keith Reynolds, host of Morning Coffee. I'm here with my lovely co-host, Charlene Chamberlain. Char, good morning.
Good morning, Keith. How are you today?
I'm doing good. We got one more day of the bad weather that we've been talking about.
Oh, it's supposed to be pretty terrible tomorrow. I think 8 inches of snow. And then 50 over the weekend. So.
Yeah, 50. So, you know what? We're
Spring
good.
fever might set in.
Yeah, the last kind of day of kind of that winter feel. And the clocks actually go forward
right, spring
on Saturday.
Forward,
Yep.
fall
So
back.
very excited about all that. So what do we got going on today?
Well, I've been eyeballing these things that are on the table in front of us, but we'll get to those a little bit later. Our guest this morning is Denny Horn, who is a 32-year veteran of the natural food industry, and he's here to talk about food, natural food, and the health benefits of eating naked or eating clean. Welcome to Morning Coffee, Denny. It's nice to have you with us on the show.
Nice to be here. Thank you.
Always welcome chocolate people.
No, I know. Any kind of food people. We love food. Denny, how did you get started in the natural food industry?
Back in 1983, I was in between careers. I had been in the music business, and I was looking for something to do. And a friend of mine worked for a natural food distributor, and he said to me that they needed a truck driver. I said,
truck driver?
Wow. Right.
That's like starting in the mailroom, right?
Yes, the very bottom level.
Yeah.
And I said, honestly, I don't really know how to drive these giant trucks. He goes, well, you'll learn on the wing. So I winged it and learned it and delivered natural foods. And 13 years later, I moved on to a different company and started brokering, going into the manufacturer repping of different brands, brand management, and sales and marketing. But I cut my teeth in distribution, which was the beginning of the path. And ever since then, I've worked for different companies as either a sales manager or a brand ambassador, right, or a manufacturer's rep, so to speak.
So when you were driving that truck for all those years, I guess you were actually seeing all the products going into the stores. Did that make you change your lifestyle in regards to your eating habits and the type of food that you purchased?
Yes, and as a matter of fact, one of the places I delivered to, they used to make a catered natural food lunch at a card company in West Philly. And I would go there, and they were cooking up these seitan steak sandwiches. I'm like, I've never heard of seitan.
Seitan, what is seitan?
I have no idea what it is.
Tell our viewers what seitan is.
It's a meatless alternative, like wheat meat made from the gluten.
Right.
And, so I got turned on to seitan. I got turned on to eating vegetarian by going to, I used to deliver rice to the Kripalu Institute in Sumneytown and sat around there for lunches for an hour. So I started getting into the whole food thing and just changing the whole way I looked at things, the whole way I ate, and started to go organic and get away from all the processed foods and refined sugars. You know, it's terrible what's available out there, and if you could make a change for the better and avoid the doctors.
God. Sugar and salt, I always say.
Yeah.
Two big things that are detrimental to your health. I mean, I do like sugar, but in small doses and small quantities, and there are other ways to get sugar.
There's other way to get sugar.
Yeah.
Which, why don't you fill us in on the other ways,
other
than natural, than the white sugar that you have in your sugar bowl at home?
Yeah, the ones that you want to stay away from. And again, the studies are coming in, so there's always a lot of give and take on truth versus myth and fiction. But I think for the most part, we're learning that refined sugars are not the way to go.
Right.
They really tax the body heavily, and it's really hard to process. So there are a lot of alternatives. My wife and I are big fans of stevia.
Yes, I use that occasionally.
We grow our own. We use it.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, we do.
We
got a plant in the backyard. We call him Steve. So that's Steve, the stevia plant.
And it grows in our climate?
In the spring and summer.
Yeah, not in the winter.
Yeah, and
we're gonna have to grow. Can we start an herb garden here?
Sure, absolutely.
I mean, for a while we were into agave.
I love agave.
Agave's a big thing with
Agave is wonderful, but again, there's studies coming forth that are going to go back and forth. The argument's going to be, low glycemic, high glycemic. What's the deal?
Oh no! Don't burst the bubble.
You know what it is though? It's inviting. It's really. It's all about money, because at that point, I think agave is an absolute good form of a different form of sugar, sweetness, or whatever. And the people that grow agave, they're making their money. It's someone that wants to do something else to sell, and I hate that. Just keep it honest. That's the big thing. My opinion.
No, and that's a good, strong opinion, because the industry itself has gotten away from a lot of its original ethics. So you're seeing a lot of, like with the corporate takeover of a lot of the brands, it could be for better or worse. Like when a certain company would buy, like I think Coca-Cola bought Adwala, you got to hope that they maintain the
integrity of the product.
In any takeover. So
right.
if I was the seller, I would hope that that my company would maintain its credibility throughout the process, because if they start taking away brown rice syrup and putting in refined sugar, which attracts conventional grocery, which is great for the mass market, but is it really the thing that we want to eat? So I think it comes down to consumers being aware of what's in the package.
Oh my gosh. And those food labels are sometimes very misleading and hard to understand if you don't really know what some of these words are, what they mean, and the percentages. I myself struggle with a lot of that. And I know if there are more than 2 or 3 ingredients in something, I don't buy it, because I know that it's probably laden with chemicals and it's probably something that's really not good for me.
Well, I think in all fairness, it's consumer beware. What's that Latin word? Caveat. I forget the other part of it. Anyway, the consumers really need to be aware, and they're picking up labels. People are obviously gravitating more and more towards natural foods. Conventional groceries taking a hit, and natural foods are coming up. Prescriptions are going down, and natural foods are coming up. So people are learning that they can take care of themselves, but they still need to question what's in the food. So, I mean, even if you don't buy it the day you're looking at the label, you should at least go home and do your due diligence. Like high fructose corn syrup.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you got to know what's going on with that.
You know what? About 2 years ago on one of our shows, I had interviewed a scientist, and he told me about it. And I went home and I saw all the things that high fructose corn syrup
that were in your cabinet.
Oh my God!
Started clearing it out.
I started making my own ketchup from that.
Yeah.
I make my own ketchup because that's one of the main ingredients in it.
Yeah.
So, and you know what? Just as good. Ketchup.
Right.
And again, it's down to awareness. It's down to, we have the capability of finding out anything we want. You Google high fructose, you get both sides of the argument, but at least do your diligence before you plop down your money on a product.
Or put it in your body.
Right, exactly. And you know what? Where did the deciding factor? Like, I think that society needs to understand, you know what? We can set the market for our houses in our neighborhoods by 10 of us are selling our house at the same price. That sets the market. Well, you know what? If you're really a stickler on high fructose corn syrup, don't buy things with it. And then what will happen is they're going to lose money. And they're going to say, I need to do something
different.
Find
another way.
So we are really, we're the driving force, and I think people don't think they have an option.
Right.
And they really do.
Yeah.
Do your due diligence. Take a photograph of the label, go home and look it up online and Google it if you're unsure of what the actual wording is, or what the food products are, or chemicals are in your food that you want to purchase.
I see people doing that with their cell phones. I was at a Whole Foods the other day, and this woman was looking at kombucha tea, and she was taking pictures of it, walked away, looked on the internet, read about it, and then decided which one she wanted to buy or not.
Right. I mean, that is the beauty of the technology that we have today, that you can get an instant response, or you can find out about something right on the spot. You don't have to go home.
Right. And in the what we hope to be the better world in labeling, when you speak of regulations, we'd like to see the GMO thing. That's a big hot issue now.
Has been for a while.
Yeah, and the argument goes back and forth. There's pluses, there's minuses, but for the most part, we at least need to have a situation where the consumer is aware that the product does or doesn't contain GMOs. So if they think that the GMOs are a bad thing, which they may be or they may not be, the arguments are out there, then at least they can make an informed, conscious decision at the market.
For themselves or their
genetically modified organisms. That's when they take...
corn is big.
Yeah, they do, like in some instances, they'll do it to advance the crop, and they'll put in chemicals to burgeon the growth, but and sometimes, I think I've heard it said that they actually can impregnate the plants with bug parts, so that bug will not eat that plant.
Right, so it's like a natural pesticide blocker, or a natural pest blocker.
Right, and these chemicals could be dangerous to your health, so you gotta at least, I would say do your diligence like anything else. Well, who's putting the GMO in? What are they using? Are they using Roundup? And
my gosh!
If so, do your diligence.
I know. Roundup is still legal in the U.S.
Yeah.
In Canada, it's not. You cannot buy Roundup. It is not available.
I don't like any of that stuff. I don't like any
No,
of that
we
stuff.
don't use anything on our lawns at all. I mean, our lawn does not look that great, but I know that it's safe and I can walk barefoot in my backyard and not worry about anything.
You know, up in upstate New York, where my wife's family's
You're
from.
the farm up there,
Yeah,
right?
the farm. I mean, you know, we have dandelion salad.
Yeah.
You could never do
Don't
that.
do that here,
You
no
could
way.
never do that down in here, in the Jersey area, because you don't know what's been sprayed or whatever.
And it travels in through our water system as well,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know.
I mean, it's a different way of eating or living. Up there.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
It really is.
for all intents and purposes, I shop organic as often as possible. At
Me
least I
too.
know the product hasn't been sprayed or laden with pesticides and grown in soil that's
Contaminated,
clean.
probably.
You know what? I even get to the point where when I go to BJ's, which is one of our neighbors, they have a selection of the beef that's been grass fed.
Yeah, that's the
versus and I that's what I buy.
And you can really taste the difference too.
You can
If
taste
you
the
go back to
difference.
a regular steak.
Yeah.
compared
Well,
to that.
you know what? Andrew Zimmerman will tell you it tastes. What does he call his famous words? He said woodsy. He always says woodsy, but
Yeah.
that's natural though. And that's what he's trying to describe.
Right.
It's the natural taste of
Well,
it.
the same thing with chickens. I mean, you don't want to eat chicken that's laden with antibiotics.
Especially, you know, it grew up in 13 days and it's as big as a regular chicken.
Right.
So, something's wrong there.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
you want to learn about the companies with any product, especially with the poultry, because if it's a company that's cutting the beaks off
Oh
the
my
chickens,
God, it's horrible.
so they
yeah.
don't harm each other, then maybe you don't want to purchase that product.
Cutting
Yeah.
the beaks off.
Yeah,
What do you
They
mean?
keep
Because
it
they're
safe
so
from each
close,
other.
and they're so close. They're all
they
crammed
keep them in
into
close
one little
quarters.
area.
They start pecking at each other, so they cut their beaks. I mean,
That's
I don't know who's
horrible.
doing it, or I wouldn't elaborate, but
No, but it does happen.
Oh my God. That
and
is.
plus the antibiotics, like you said.
Well, the other thing that I'm going to pop in here about is that, if an animal that you're going to eat was killed in a terrible way, a lot of that negative energy can be a transference into
No
your
doubt.
food.
No
I know
doubt.
people may think I'm a little, new agey for that, but I do believe that.
No, if that animal dies and has lived in a fearful situation,
Right.
you'll incorporate that fear. And
Right.
I
I do
read
not
you.
eat veal for that reason.
No, do not eat veal.
Exactly.
I do not eat
Exactly.
veal for that
No,
reason.
Absolutely not.
That I can't do it. I can't do
Well,
it.
I rarely touch any meat at all anymore.
Yeah.
So.
Well, who was that woman in the meat industry that Claire Danes played in the HBO special, where she taught these meat companies how to kindly care for the
Right.
cattle, so they're going through a nice situation before they meet their demise. Or at
I
least
know,
they're
but still they're
pleasantly
meeting
led.
their demise.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Live it up.
You,
Live
you
it
can
up.
become
Yeah.
vegan and just like not do anything.
Exactly.
Yeah, I
I'm
mean-
sort of going in that direction
Yeah.
myself. Every week it's less and less and less in red meat. I don't bother with red meat ever.
Yeah, I mean, I
Very
eat the
rare.
meats, but I definitely stayed away from the veal because that's
Oh,
the baby.
yeah.
That's
I know.
what they do.
That's just wrong.
It
I
is.
mean, even some of the
A lot
like
of it's
over in
wrong.
the Asian culture, where they massage it and.
They also eat dogs, so
Yeah.
probably
not-
cats too.
Yeah,
Can't
that's
do that.
yeah, that's not a
No.
good thing in America's culture. I mean,
Not gonna eat Spike for dinner.
Yeah.
No, it's poor Spike.
Hey, Bella would make a big meal. I have an English
I know.
mastiff.
Well, if things get really tight.
I mean, she'd be a good meal.
Oh boy.
She's well fed.
Okay, I think we're
Next
going
week
down
we'll
the
talk
wrong.
about cannibalism.
I know.
Cannibalism.
Well, we're almost talking about it.
Cannibalism. Subject you can sink your teeth in.
Right. So Denny suggests that yes, do your due diligence, look at your labels, make sure you know where what's in your food, and maybe where your food is actually coming from.
Yeah, and look for like the fair trade companies.
Yes.
Who are,
So let's talk about fair trade. Explain fair trade to our
The
viewers.
short story is there are companies that work in conjunction with their suppliers. Like
Okay.
there's a company out in California, Essential Living Foods, and
Yes.
they're a purveyor of raw and organic foods, and they bring in stuff from Indonesia and Peru, but they give back to those communities.
To help them sustain.
Yeah, or Sambazon. Sambazon has that acai, frozen acai. They were one of the first companies to produce acai, and they built schools where they took the trees from.
Wow.
So it's
That's
a
nice.
function of keeping the farmers fed, keeping their livelihoods intact, and now fair trade's going into another realm now, which is something called B corporations, where a B corporation is a company that will not only do supplier relationships, but also with all the stakeholders, like giving back to the community on a local and global level. So
we had a coffee vendor on a couple of weeks ago, and his coffee was fair trade coffee. I think it was coming from Mexico.
I think it was from the Barry
Hotel brand
Barry
coffee.
Hotel brand coffee.
Yeah, I mean it's an important thing. It's a give and take. You know, they're buying from these countries, but they're giving back to them as well.
Right.
You know?
They're just not draining them of everything.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. In fact, Essential was teaching farmers how to maintain sustainable agriculture in their countries, which they may not have known about before.
Right.
So it's all good.
And that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Can we talk a minute about probiotics? There's so much on the market now. I know when I originally started taking probiotics, there were just one or two brands, and before that it was just eat yogurt every day. But then you had to be sure you were eating the right yogurt, not a yogurt that was laden with 24 grams of sugar in every tiny little container, which is like a teaspoon, right? A teaspoon of sugar. So I know you've probably worked in probiotics. Did you work in the probiotic field?
Yeah, I spent a decade.
A decade in okay, you're the right guy for probiotics.
Yeah, I've learned a lot. I worked for a company called Natron Probiotics in Westlake Village, California, and Natasha, who owns the company, Natasha Trenev, she's the creator of the product, and she comes from a lineage of 8 or 9 generations back of people in Yugoslavia, in Eastern Europe, that made yogurt and produced it and sold it to people all over Eastern Europe. And then she came to this country, and her father opened up a liquid acidophilus facility, for the first one in North America, and then she grew up and went to UCLA. I mean, I'm skipping ahead, but she got her master's in microbiology and told her father, we want to take what's in the yogurt, and that kept our people lively and healthy till like 110 years old. How do we do that in a supplement? So she created Natron Incorporated, which was opened in 1982, and they do things a little differently. It's an older science, but it's a more exact science. And I think the thing that the consumers need to be aware of is that the product that they're buying should be third-party tested. There should be a very definitive declared potency, expiration potency
on it
guarantee.
Right.
The Natron products were guaranteed through the printed expiration date, which means the day you buy it, even if it says you buy it in March and it says it expires in June, the count that's in that bottle and in those capsules will remain the same, if not better, at the time of expiration.
Right.
And so that's another consumer beware.
So it doesn't lose its potency throughout the lifespan.
Right. Because if it says guaranteed at time of production or guaranteed at time of manufacture, then the consumer should be knowledgeable that the product that they're buying is guaranteed at the time it rolled off the assembly line.
Which could have been 2, 3, 4, 5 months or more, right?
Yeah, and the rule of thumb is bacteria are typically, they're friendly bacteria. This is what you want to bring back into your body, the acidophilus, the bifidum, and the bulgaricus. But
wait, is acidophilus bifidum, is it?
Acidophilus is the residential bacteria in the small intestine, where you absorb nutrients and digest your food. The bifidum bacteria, or bifidobacteria, is in the colon, or the lower GI, which is your waste elimination. Right. And the bulgaricus is a transient.
I haven't heard of bulgaricus.
Yeah, that's the original bacteria. Like when you look at yogurt, it's bulgaricus. Bulgaricus is a transient strain, so it travels all 32 feet of your GI tract, gobbling up bad guys and making life miserable.
Like Pac-Man.
Exactly. I mean, and the rule of thumb is you want to occupy the parking spaces. The 32 feet of your GI tract is covered with these attachment sites, and the attachment sites could either hold on to the bad guy or the good guy. So the good guys, the friendly bacteria, create, among many other things, hydrogen peroxide, which creates a hostile environment for the bad guys. So the bad guys will choke up.
Can't you just drink hydrogen peroxide?
No, I don't think that's a good idea. But so again, the rule of thumb is people need to be aware that bacteria are naturally.
Yeah, it's good bacteria. It's not bad bacteria.
They're not friendly to each other. Right. In other words, they're going to be competitive no matter how you slice it. So when you put them together, whether it's 20 strains, 50 strains, 5 strains, they're going to battle for food and space. Right. So what Natron did that's really unique is they created this process. The only product that they make, the Healthy Trinity, that's a blend, has three different strains, but they're protected. They're put into a sunflower oil matrix. They call it the oil matrix process. So inside each capsule, the 3 bacteria are micro-enrobed, each strain,
okay.
so they can't recognize the guy next to them.
Because those 3 compete with each other.
They all will. Most bacteria, if not all, are highly competitive. So when you see a product that has a blend of like 50 or 100, the numbers are staggering. You'll likely not see a count on each strain. You want to at least look for a guaranteed count of each strain. If it says, hey, we have 8,000 trillion in this capsule, and here's the list, but there's no definitive number next to each, then you're guessing.
Is it like micrograms or
no? No, it's colony forming units.
Colony
Good question.
Forming units.
That should be the first thing consumers look for is
colony forming units.
Yeah, which means each cell or each cell is a colony forming unit, which has the capability of producing other colonies. And that's what you want. You want power and numbers.
Right.
So if they're diminished and they're living together and they're starting to eat each other, then the quality goes down. So efficacy is really key. Yeah,
I didn't know that this was probiotics was so involved.
It's intense.
That's interesting.
Well, people say probiotics, but I watched something on one of these health shows about all the different forms of probiotics. That's why
there's so many brands out there. How do you know which one is good?
Yeah. Well, you really need to be educated on it. I mean,
that's what it takes. And, I think any good company should have like a team of educators out there, and that's what I was doing with Nature. And I was like a sales manager, but I would also go to like a natural food store and train the staff so they know
how to sell it.
Otherwise, they're confused, and the customer looks at 30 billion versus 100 billion. They're going to buy the 100 because they think they're getting the better value, but are they getting that full 100? That's the key. You got to have a calculator at the shelf. You got to look and see.
I have probiotics at home now. I have to go home and look at the label. When is the right time of day to actually take your probiotics?
I'd say morning on an empty stomach. Morning on an empty stomach.
Right.
My wife and I use the Nature has a kit that's got all 3. I like the dairy powders. I don't have a problem with dairy, so we take them like in the morning, like either mixed together. I mean, they are competitive, but they're competitive during transit. And that's another thing too, is that the companies that are making probiotics should be shipping cold.
Which means
it needs to be packed and cold. Like Nature was always refrigerated every step of the way, from the manufacturing process to the trucks.
Right, to the stores.
To the stores.
It's kept cold in the
Because
stores.
for the longest time, you go to a store now, you see a cooler full of probiotics and some on the dry shelf. Well, how were they shipped, and what were the temperatures that these things reached?
Right.
And if some companies will protect it, and they might use a technology that may or may not be harmful.
Well, I know ours come in the mail, so I know they're not coming cold, so I need to really look at that.
You might be getting diminished efficacy is what it might come down to. I mean, I'm not saying it won't have any effect, but it'll have less of an effect.
Right.
If they're not kept cold and viable.
Right.
Viable is the key word.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Denny is going to fill us in on what is actually trending now in the natural food sector.
I think for the most part we're seeing a lot of return to roots. Like there's a couple different things happening. There's a lot of companies that progressively get really popular quickly, like the Chocolates, for instance. They rose up, and within a year they were so strong he could sell. They sold the company to Hershey's. So that hopefully is a good thing.
Hopefully they don't compromise.
We gotta hope for the best. That Dagoba maintains their integrity as one of the better chocolate companies.
Right.
So while you have all of that going on, where companies are growing to a point where they position to sell and they get bought up by Procter & Gamble or whomever, you also still, and if you go to the trade shows, you still have an influx of grassroots, homespun companies. That
I like that word, homespun.
Yeah, it's a nice one.
I like it.
My wife gave me that.
It's a very friendly name.
It's a good name.
You see somebody at home just in their kitchen, creating some really nice goodies.
That's how, in '96 I worked for Drew's Dressings, was one of the companies I had. And I met Andrew, I think his name's Andrew Starkweather, and we went to his house, the nice little Norman Rockwell house in Massachusetts, and we had a dinner meeting with him, which also included a presentation of new steak sauces, which were not for steak sake, but for anything you want to use it for. He had a huge slab of tempeh, soy protein, and we had that on the barbecue spit with a row of the sauces. But my point was, with Andrew, he was a guy he was a busboy, I think, in a restaurant, and he made a dressing that was really good. And the people that were working there said, "Why don't you market that?" And it became a homespun, one-guy operation. Now it's like Drew's Dressings is huge, it's ubiquitous. So you're seeing a lot of that, and I think it's nice to see a return to roots,
Yeah.
where we don't stray too far from the original ethics of the entire industry.
Right.
You know, not getting to refined sugars or over processing. So you're seeing more and more companies. I mean, organic is huge. B corporations are huge. Fair trade is coming on strong.
Gluten free, of course, is
Gluten free
big.
is big.
Yeah.
Yeah. Vegan's huge right now. So there's a lot of that going on, and so the trends come and they go. Like coconut's really huge right now.
Coconut oil, coconut water.
I love coconut.
Yeah. So there's a lot of that going on. Honey is still big.
Right.
You know, every trade show I go to, I see more and more companies come on board, like from New Zealand or whatever. Manuka honey is huge.
Oh, I have some of that at home.
That's another sweetener.
Yeah.
And honey has healing properties.
Yeah,
it does.
Yeah.
Bee pollen in it and something like that.
Yeah.
It's also great for people with allergies. I think it's if you buy honey that's within, what is it, a mile or two of where you live. So it's actually, you know, the pollination happens close to where the things are that would cause you to have allergies.
I'm glad you mentioned that.
Am I right with that?
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned geography because I think we're seeing a lot of more locally produced products where people know that they're getting it. They're supporting their community, and also they're not relegated to companies that truck in product from further points, like from California to Pennsylvania, and they're using all the fossil fuels, they're choking the atmosphere with poisonous byproducts. So, and they're carrying on. It's like a harmful. It's like a carbon footprint that gets enlarged. So we're trying to reduce that. So I always say buy locally if you can.
We do too. Keith and I always, and we love to have a lot of our guests that come on Morning Coffee are doing just that. They're local. They're creating their own products.
Yeah,
that's right.
Selling them locally.
And when you go to like farm markets, you cut out the middleman, like you talked about Collinswood.
Collinswood's wonderful.
Yeah, you get all these great organic vegetables fresh from the farm. You're supporting family operations.
And I have to say, there is nothing like cooking something that was actually picked that day.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Totally
There's
different.
no comparison.
It's like up at the farm they grow their own asparagus.
Oh,
to walk out in the morning and grab some asparagus.
I know.
Nice.
Put it in a pan. Oh my God.
We do that in Canada too because we are in the wine and orchard region, and of course, plenty of peach trees and cherries and fruit orchards, and there's just such a big difference. I buy all of my products from roadside stands there. And then I come home and it's like, wow. I wait for the farmer's market so I can do it again.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much how they live there every day. And I wish we could do that every day here, but it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard. When I lived in California, though, it was a little bit easier. I always felt healthier when I
Best
lived there.
avocados.
Yes, absolutely.
So what do we got here? You got
So
chocolate.
we brought some treats. So tell us about this. It's Caveman Almond Butter Cups.
Yeah, this is a company. I'm doing some independent brand management now, and I'm working with this gentleman who created this Caveman Chocolates is the name of his company. They have the one product out right now. It's a locally based.
Front of it.
They're out of Montgomery County, PA, in the Royersford, Collegeville area.
Right.
And it's an all organic treat. It's an almond butter. It's almond butter, which is organic roasted almonds surrounded by organic chocolate, which
Dark
is
chocolate.
70% Peruvian dark chocolate.
Wow.
Organic vanilla, local organic honey. Again, supporting your local farmers. So it's a 100% organic product. It's just being launched. Great guy. He owns a CrossFit gym. And
he does?
Yeah, out in the Collegeville area. And he came out with this product as like an after workout treat, and now it's becoming something else.
Instead of a power bar, it's a power peanut butter cup or almond butter cup.
And the Caveman title, he was originally going for the paleo market.
Of course.
But I think that's more of a trend that he'd rather not be in. At this point, it's like a nice, almost gourmet treat.
Well, what about Cave Woman? There should be one with a pink something on the top of it.
I'll bring that up. I'll bring that up to leadership.
We're getting ready to have our first woman president, so you better
we need Cave Woman. We need a Cave Woman treat.
Or Cave Person.
Cave Person.
Cave Person. We'll keep it generic. But yeah, these are awesome, and we're just launching the company as we speak.
I mean, I'm looking at the ingredients. Wow. Organic vanilla extract, a little bit of sea salt, organic honey, roasted almonds, cocoa liqueur, organic sugar, organic cocoa butter.
No refined sugar.
Organic chocolate. Wow. Can't wait to try these. So on that note, I think we need to dig in. What do you say, Keith?
Absolutely. I'm going to
for
grab a little piece and see what we got here.
Okay, here we go. Come on, Denny, you too.
I'll join you. Okay.
All right.
Here we go. Yum, look at that. Gorgeous.
Look, here's the center. I don't know if you can see this on camera.
Mm.
Don't you guys wish you had one? There won't be any left by the end of the show, sorry.
See, I'm from the candy industry
my
years
goodness.
ago, so
That is really good chocolate.
Isn't that great?
really good.
Yay.
Really
good.
delicious.
You know, when I was in the candy world for a couple of years, you know, I couldn't even pick up a Snickers bar anymore because the chocolate that I've tasted
Inferior.
is just so clean.
It doesn't taste like chocolate.
Yeah.
Well,
Like when you try this and then you pick up something else, and I won't say the name, what are you really eating? You're not tasting.
well,
the
it's
actual,
processed.
You know.
I mean,
Yeah, totally.
I think people don't realize that. Nothing else, you Snickers lovers out there.
No.
I mean,
No, please don't stop eating your candy, but if you really want a wonderful treat, you have to try these. Caveman Almond Butter Cups. They are to die for, and they're big. They're big. That'll last you a day, maybe, if you cut it in half.
Right.
Yeah, they're pretty hefty. It's like two and a quarter ounces for 2 cups.
Yeah, that's a lot. Those are big.
One a
Absolutely
day
delicious.
should do if you can stay away from the other one. They're very addictive.
You know, the dark chocolate. But you know what, though? I know when I was in that world, really good chocolate, like right now, I've satisfied my taste. You know, other chocolates, you want to keep going back to it. But when you eat really good chocolate,
because you're not getting it.
you're not getting it. And right now, like, I'm okay with that.
All right.
I mean, I could probably eat the other half, but
You will.
especially dark chocolate.
Dark chocolate, yeah.
Dark chocolate is really
I like
one of
it.
the best. That's the best for you, really. The dark chocolate.
I
And
like
that,
the Candyman testimonial.
I know.
I'm
He
telling
is
you,
the candy man.
I love my chocolate.
Now that song's going to be in your head all day.
I think so. There's several versions. I think I know one I'm thinking of right away.
Right.
Look out, the
Right.
Candyman. So these will be in your natural food stores.
Okay, yeah, where
ask for it by name.
Caveman.
And
Caveman.
They can
Let's
contact.
get that. Let's get the logo up again. If those guys can run that for us, okay.
Yeah.
So now, where is this going to be at? And
Right now, we're headed to the independent natural food stores. Hopefully, some chains. Maybe go after Whole Foods, but
Great.
you know, look up wherever you live. Look up your natural food store and ask for Caveman Chocolates, the almond butter cup, and
Awesome.
we can be contacted through Facebook. Is a good start. The
Okay, so
website's
yes.
under construction.
Okay, so it would just be Caveman on Facebook?
Yeah, Caveman Chocolates on
Caveman
Facebook.
Chocolates on Facebook.
Yeah, and
And if someone would like to get in touch with you, if they had some questions or they wanted to possibly place an order, how can they find you? Facebook?
I have an email address.
Do you want to share it?
Yeah, dlhorn16, that's DLHORN16 @gmail.com. And I'll be glad to help you find it.
okay. Awesome. Well, this will conclude this part of Morning Coffee, and we'll be back.
Thank you, Denny, for
Thank
being on
you for
Morning
coming
Coffee.
in.
It's great to have
Thank
you
you.
as a guest
It
today.
was a pleasure.
Thanks for the
Thanks.
chocolate.
You're welcome.